Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, a place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my pet gorilla, George. Let's talk about The Lunch from 1994, attended by the founders of Pixar. As I said in one of my earlier reviews, several stories were established that day. The last story they talked about the day was the story of a robot living on a dystopian Earth before finding life and bringing back civilization. That was the story that became one of the most emotional animated films of all time. So much so that 14 years later, people are still talking about how emotional it is. But is it really that emotional? You're going to find out today. This is Wall-E. Wall-E, short for Waste Allocation Load Lifter Earth Class, voiced by sound designer Ben Burtt, is the last robot left on Earth. He spends his days tidying up the planet, but one piece of garbage at a time. But during 700 years, Wall-E has developed a personality, and he's more than a little lonely. Then he spots Eve, voiced by Alyssa Knight, a sleek and shapely probe sent back to Earth on a scanning mission. Smitten, Wall-E embarks on his greatest adventure yet, when he follows Eve across the galaxy. I'm going to say this right now when it is still relevant. The film is amazing. It starts out as a silent film with only the dialogue coming from the artificial intelligence that both robots possess, while the second half has all the dialogue with the human characters. It beautifully blends to make one of the three emotional Pixar films of the time. But what else is a highlight in this film? Let's find out. The characters are fantastic. Wall-E, despite being an artificial intelligence, is anything but forgettable or cliched. As a matter of fact, he's probably the best AI in any media ever. Ben Burtt gives a very emotional and memorable performance that deserves to be mentioned. Eve, or Eva, according to Wall-E, is fierce, but has a soft spot for the robot she loves. The side characters like Mo, also voiced by Ben Burtt, and Hal, the cockroach, are memorable despite not being in the movie much. Then we have the Axiom characters. Captain B. McCree is great, John is great, Mary is great, and then there are the side characters no one really knows but who are memorable. I'm talking about the robots. As for our villain, Otto is memorable despite being voiced by the Macintosh computer system, and Gopher is just a slime ball towards the end. So, for essentially computers, these are memorable villains. Okay, how is the animation? Well, again, the animation is another home run for Pixar. Heck, I'd say there are times when environments look real, specifically the space environments, even though it's hard to know what the space environment really looks like without going to see for ourselves. The music was done by Thomas Newman, who gave us a sci-fi flair with a bit of love and even a nod to the theme from 2001: A Space Odyssey, a bit later into the movie. So yeah, I know this review is short, but there's nothing really else to say about Wall-E other than big positives. If you want a good cry from this movie, go ahead and check it out. The movie earns the score it deserves, a 10 out of 10. Put on your Sunday clothes and watch this film. Well, that's it for this review. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the movie below and tune in next week when I take a look at Up. With that said, my name is Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.